In this video, you'll learn more about SQL Server data types. In SQL Server, we have four main data types: string, numeric, date and time, and so-called other data types. Let's start from string data types. As you can see from this table, we have 9 of them. Let's discuss first 3. We have char n, varchar n, and varchar max. First 2 can hold up to 8000 bits, and this is for non-Unicode characters only. And when we are using varchar max, it can hold up to 2 GB. Now let's discuss second 3. Instead of char, now we have nchar, nvarchar, and nvarchar max, right? For example, first 3 couldn't hold Unicode characters, but second 3 are able to hold Unicode characters also. But catch is that, for example, when you are using char, one character uses 1 bits. But when you're using nchar, one character uses 2 bits. So maximum characters for nchar will be 4000 instead of 8000. Next 3 are binary, var binary, and var binary max. This is like little bit different. Var binary is a data type in SQL Server that stores binary data. This means it holds data that's not meant to be read as a text. For example, it doesn't hold text like subscribe to my channel. It holds images, files, or even encrypted information. Now let's use these string type data types in our SQL Server. So open your Management Studio, click on New Query, and let's create new testing database. And call it, for example, test. Refresh it, and as you can see, now we have this test database. Go on and change your database from here. And now we are testing string data types. Let's create table and call it, for example, data types. And as for columns, let's use 3 different columns. For example, first one, column 1, make it varchar, for example, 100. Create second column, call it column 2, and make it nvarchar, 100. And also let's create third one, call it column 3, and make it var binary, again 100. Create this table, and after creating it, go on and insert some data. Values, for example, for column 1, let's say my YouTube channel name, Brainwheel. For column 2, it is an nvarchar. To use nvarchar, you need to use this n, and after that you need to write whatever you want. For example, as we said, nvarchar is for Unicode. Let's say what Brainwheel stands for in Chinese, for example. Let's copy paste it here. And in Chinese, this Brainwheel is written like this. And we can store Chinese characters in our database. And as for var binary data, we need binary data, right? Let's insert something like this in our var binary data. As for, we cannot insert something like this. Let's execute this first insert. After executing, let's copy paste it and insert something different, right? Let's, for example, say subscribe, right? And again, let's insert, instead of this Chinese version, let's insert same word, subscribe, but using this in varchar instead of varchar. And we will see the difference in data lengths soon. So we have these two rows. Let's select these two rows from our data types. And as you can see on the first row, we have our brain wheel in Chinese version and our var binary data. On second row, we have this subscribe. From the look of it, there is no difference, but let's check how many bits does varchar takes, the column 1, and how many bits does in varchar takes, the column 2. To check it, you need to use following function. For example, again, select from our data types, and we need to select column 1 and column 2, right? Let's copy paste them, column 1 and column 2. But also we need to check the actual size of these columns written in our database. To do that, you need to use the following function called data lengths. And just put your column names in data lengths function. Let's do same for second one. And let's execute this one, but let's filter it also. For example, I want CL1 to be subscribe. And as you can see, this is my column 1. My column 1, which is varchar, takes only 9 bits. My column 2, which is n varchar, takes 18 bits. But same thing is written in both of them. Same characters are used. But the difference is in size. When we are storing information in varchar, one character takes 1 bit. When we are storing information in nvarchar, one character takes 2 bits. Now let's discuss numeric data types. We have many of them, as you can see from this table. I will be discussing some of them. You can go through one by one if you would like, but I will give you like main idea behind these data types. Let's start from the first one. For example, we have bit. This is integer that can hold 0, 1 or null. In SQL Server, we have null. I have explained about nulls in previous videos. If you want to learn more about it, I highly suggest you to watch that video. Again, we have tiny int, small int, big int. Basically, they hold numbers, but only difference is how much they can hold. As you can see from these numbers, the difference between them are quite big. We have decimal, so decimal can hold numbers after point. For example, it can hold 1.4, 1.6, 20.7 or something like that. We have also like small money, money, float and real. This is for like numeric data types. Now let's go on and open your SQL Server Management Studio and do some tests on these number data types. Once again, in SQL Server Management Studio, click on New Query and let's create second table for our numeric data type test. Create table, test numeric. For example, name is test numeric. And as for columns, let's use column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. I think that will be enough. For column 1, let's say give it a bit. For column 2, let's give it tiny int. For column 3, let's give it int. For column 4, we can give it like big int. And for column 5, let's give it, for example, decimal. When you are writing decimal, you need to tell it how many characters you want. For example, I want 5 characters, but after point I want to have like again, let's say 2 characters, right? Let's create this table, refresh our tables, and we have new table here. Let's do some tests on it right now. Let's insert something, our table, values, and let's test, for example, bit. As we said, bit only takes zeros, ones, or null values. What if I try to insert something else? For example, what if I try to insert 600 in a bit? For tiny, let's say 1, 2, 3, and for decimal, let's say 1.5. Let's execute this one, and as you saw, SQL Server didn't give me an error. Instead, it inserted something in my table. Let's select our data from this table, and as you can see in column 1, which is bit, instead of writing 600, it wrote 1. So SQL Server actually doesn't throw an error when you are trying to insert something else rather than 1, 0 or null value in bit column, and it automatically inserts 1. For example, if I try here 0, there will be no problem again, and it will insert 0. If I try again, inserting, for example, null value, again, I have no problem with that. I have a null value here. So next one is, for example, tinyInt, right? We said in tinyInt maximum range is 0 to 255. What if I try to insert here again, let's say 600 instead of my maximum value? As you can see, SQL Server sends an error, arithmetic overflow error, for data type tinyInt. My value is 600. So it will not insert anything here, and the reason is that I'm using 600 instead of 255. 255 is actually maximum value. If I try 256, again, same error will happen. So 255 is maximum for my tinyInt. Same goes with another data types, numeric data types, for example, for int, big int. So they have maximum and minimum values. So when you are inserting something, you need to consider these maximum and minimum values. Same goes with decimal. For example, I have 5 characters, but after point, I should have 2 characters. For example, if I try, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 characters, right? If I insert this, the arithmetic overflow will happen. But if I lower it like this, something will be inserted. And I will have this number. But at the end, I will have 0, because after point, I need to have at least 2 characters. I can write it here like this. With this way, I will have like 5 characters, and it will have no problem inserting this number in my table. So this is it for numeric data types. Let's continue. Now let's discuss date and time data types. As you can see from this table, we have multiple ones. Basically, they all do the same. They hold date, but in different ways. I have included this description. You can read out if you want to know more about each one of them. But for now, let's go on again to SSMS and create some tables on it and insert some data and also filter the data according to our dates. Once again, go on and click on new query, and let's create another table for date and time data types. Again, write create table, test, for example, date, and for columns, let's use this column 1, which will be data time, column 2, which will be again data time, but it will have different data type. For example, data time 2. Let's say column 3, which will be, for example, date, and let's say column 4, which will be time. Go on and create this table. This table is created, and we have these 4 columns. Now let's select our current time. How to do it? Just write in select get date. Actually, this is function which will return what time is it right now. So while inserting, let's insert some data in our test state. While inserting, instead of writing these numbers by your hand, you can use this getDate function. For example, let's use this 4 times. For example, for first column, for second, third, and for fourth. Let's run it. And let's select what has been inserted. And as you can see, in these 4 columns, we have different type of dates. For example, in first one, which is our date time, after point, for example, milliseconds only takes, for example, 9, 8, and 0, 3 numbers. But for date time 2, which is more precise, it will take much more. For example, 7 characters after seconds point. And for date, it only stores information about year, months, and day. And as for time, it only saves information, for example, about hour, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. As you can see, this time and data time too, when it saves information, for example, hours, seconds, and milliseconds, they have same size, but only the second part. Time doesn't save information about year, months, and day. This is it for testing date and time data types, and let's continue to other data types. And last one is so-called other data types. We have, for example, SQL variant, which stores 8000 bytes of data, which is like various data types except text and timestamp. We have XML, stores XML formatted data. We have unique identifier, stores a globally unique identifier. We have table, stores a result set for data processing. And we have cursor, stores a reference to a cursor used for database operations. Now, again, go on and open your Management Studio and do some tests with me. For other data types, I will use pre-created SQL commands. So let's create again one table which will have unique identifier, XML, and SQL variant. Again, let's insert some kind of information in them and let's select from it. As you can see, for example, as for unique identifier, the data looks like this. For XML, data looks like this. And for SQL variant, data looks like this. For example, it can be number, decimal, and some kind of text also. As for XML, it is kind of link, and if you click on it, you will have this kind of page where you will see information like John Doe and age 30. You can click on the second link also, for example, laptop and this number. So XML stores information in these rows, and XML information sometimes comes from application and you are storing in your database, and after that you can parse this information. I will have separate video how to do it, but as for now, you should know that from application, XML data can insert in your database, and after that in your database you can parse this information and store like regular columns. This is it for other data types. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below if you have any questions regarding these data types. Thanks for watching. See you next time.